Colts Nation, if helmets or helmet accessories interest you, make sure to go to greengridiron.com and use code INDSYN at checkout to get the discount code with it. Whether it's mini helmets, full-size helmets, visors, clips, whatever it may be, different face masks, different variations of helmets, alternate helmets, whatever the case, you can get it at Green Gridiron. And again, that's code INDSYN at checkout for the discount. Thanks for stopping by for another video, and now let's get into it. What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today we're going to have the pre-game preview for the Giants game coming up, a game where the Colts, of course, have to win. We went over playoff scenarios yesterday. If you didn't see that video, go ahead, pause this, go watch the playoff scenarios video. How do we get in? What needs to happen? Just know, we need to win this game here against the Giants. 100% got to have it. We got to be able to win this game against a terrible team. And that's really what this one breaks down to, right? You start going in depth on this. And just to be clear, I am recording this on Wednesday, right? It's Christmas. I'm recording this before the Colts ever even put out their practice reports. I have a couple of very busy days coming up. Don't know when I'm going to be able to record, if I'm going to be able to record. So I wanted to make sure I get this done, make sure I have this out to you guys here on Friday. But again, I did record this on Wednesday before the Colts put out their practice report. Now, luckily, the Giants always have maybe the earliest actually practice report in the NFL. So they already put theirs out, and what they're looking like is having a bunch of guys that are not practicing, and I think that's happened a lot. I know I have Malik Neighbors on one of my fantasy teams. I can't tell you the last time that he started the week. Not questionable, right? On the sleeper app for fantasy, it always switches from healthy to questionable, and then by the end of the week, it always switches from questionable to healthy. So Malik Neighbors is going to be good to go. I assume the same for Tyrone Tracy. We'll see there, the talented rookie running back. And, obviously Drew Lock, right shoulder, he was limited, so we'll see what happens there. Which quarterback do they decide to go with? I don't know how many of these guys are actually going to be without. I'm just going here off of what I know, right? And it sounds like we're going to get EJ Speed back. It sounds like we're going to be able to get Jalen Jones, should be fine. We're going to be able to get back Alec Pierce for this upcoming game. At least that's what it sounds like. So coming into this game, I think, fairly healthy for the most part. Obviously, Carlisle came back. Ryan Kelly coming back. So I think right now we're looking pretty good going into this game. I think building some momentum against the Titans and finding a way to dominate that game for a large portion of it. Obviously, we let them back in the game there at the end of it. The offense kind of just started running the ball only, which is how we got to 50 attempts. And we just weren't able to, sustain drives with only running the ball. Until the very end, right? When we needed to take some time off the clock, Anthony made a throw on 3rd and 8, and drive continued, and we were able to eat some time off the clock and then get the interception to finally put that game away. But what we're looking at here, going up against the Giants, it's a lot of the same thing. It's a bad football team, but this time we don't have the pleasure of playing inside. For this Giants game, as I sit here, I look at NFLweather.com, and what I see is that in New York, all right, and luckily the other New York game is right under it, the Colts at the Giants, a 52% chance of rain with 9-mile-per-hour wind to the southeast. And then when you look at Buffalo and New York, right, it's the Jets at Buffalo Bills. That is, still in New York. And of course, the New York Giants, New York Jets aren't actually in New York. They're in New Jersey. So definitely some distance there. But nonetheless, over there on that East Coast and even in some other games in the Cincinnati game, looks like rain over there as well. So looks like, the East Coast is going to be experiencing some rain. Temperatures getting a little better. For everybody, it looks like, right? 50, 48, even 57 in Philadelphia. I mean, it's raining everywhere, even in Jacksonville. It's supposed to rain. So, yeah, rain in a lot of games. Going to be a lot of ugly games this week. In fantasy, just know it could be a big running day. Whichever team's able to run the ball better, that's who's going to win. So that kind of helps us out, right? When you think about Malik Neighbors and the kind of talent that he possesses now, the quarterbacks that the Giants have obviously not great, so kind of evens out. And to be honest with you, I need Malik Neighbors to have some pretty good numbers because I'm in the championship in a pretty high stake league. So would be real nice if Malik Neighbors could have like 10 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown, right? But we still dominate the game, and that's the only touchdown that the Giants get. That ideally, that's how that goes. But nonetheless, coming into this game, um, I think it's obvious that the Colts have the upper hand. I think when you look at the weather and you look at what just happened, career or franchise best, 335 rushing yards as a football team this last week, with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson being the first running back quarterback duo to ever go for 270 on the ground, right? And that is split up. Running back goes for 200 and the quarterback goes for 70. First duo ever to do that, right? Not even Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson were able to do that. They put up some big numbers this year, but together they weren't able to do that. The first duo ever. So electrifying. Going into this Giants game, Mark Lewinsky had been elevated every week from the practice squad to the active roster. He was now brought up to the active roster and signed to the 53-man roster, just kind of switching places essentially with Andre Mafe, I think is how his name is pronounced. He, got released or got waived or whatever, and then we brought him back on the practice squad, basically just switching places. Mark Lewinsky on that offensive line. The way we looked, Quentin Nelson, I mean, even with Jeffrey Simmons, being able to push Jeffrey Simmons around and bullying him, like all-pro Quentin Nelson is all the way back. He has been all year long. It hasn't been perfect. I think he's let up some different sacks throughout the year, but for the most part, Quentin Nelson, I mean, maybe 95 success rate or higher, I would assume this year. He's been really good. And I think Bernard Raymond also been really good. He was actually one of the best tackles in the entire NFL this past week against the Titans. So definitely improvement there, and Bernie's really coming around and starting to come into his own and doing it sooner in his career than Costanzo did in his career, right? Which is great news. So as we go forward, feel good about the offensive line and feel good about what we can do against the Giants now. As I say that, the Giants do have a very talented defensive line. Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns. They have guys on that defensive front. They are kind of stupid for not having Leonard Williams anymore, but hey, whatever. If they had Leonard Williams, they'd be incredible. I mean, just outrageously incredible up front, but really good up front. I mean, really good. So our tackles are going to have to be good. Our interior is going to have to be really good. Dexter Lawrence, I mean, you're going to have to double him probably every play. I don't think he's leading the league in sacks anymore, but from a defensive tackle position, he was leading the league in sacks for a good portion of this season. Very disruptive on the inside. So offensive line going to have to be on their P's and Q's, but again, after last week's performance and what we saw against some other talented defensive linemen, like Titans aren't a great football team, but Jeffrey Simmons and those guys, like they're pretty good up front. So feel good about the matchup coming up. I feel like we can push them around in a rainy game. I think we're probably going to come out of this with a couple of interceptions, is what I would expect from whichever quarterback starts in a rainy game, a game that I assume Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson run all over the place and help us get a lead, and then they have to try to pass the ball in a rainy game. So overall, I think we're going to win the turnover battle. I think we're going to be able to beat up on the Giants, and really I think this one's pretty simple. Giants are on a fast track to the number 1 overall pick to draft Shedeur Sanders. That, by all indications, that seems to be exactly what's going to be happening. So I expect it to come out. I expect us to dominate. Rainy game, not rain. It says chance of rain, 52%. We'll see what happens. But looking at where else it's going to be raining and the chances of rain elsewhere, it looks like we definitely could see rain here this upcoming weekend in MetLife Stadium. So we'll see what happens. For me, I'm going to say at the end of the day, again, I think we dominate the Giants. I think we come out of this and don't let them back in the game. I don't think we let them back in the game. I think we keep on our foot on the gas for a little bit longer this time. And at the end of the day, I think we win this game with another season high. We just scored a season high 38. I think we come out of this with a season high 45 points. And I think at the end of the day, the Giants able to get 2 garbage time touchdowns in the fourth quarter, when we've basically took our starters out, playing prevent defense, that sort of thing, really take our foot off the gas when we're already up 45-3 going into the fourth quarter. That's my prediction. That's how I think this is going to go after what happened last week, dominating for 3 quarters just to come out and let the Titans back in it. I think we learned a lesson, and I think this is going to be a game where we come out and really put our foot on the pedal against the Giants. They want the 1 seed or the number 1 overall pick anyways. So, hey, this works out both ways, gets us a win. And, of course, we need other things to happen. We need other teams to lose. So we'll see what happens this upcoming weekend. I'd love to know what your prediction is this upcoming weekend. You let me know your thoughts on the game. What's the score going to be? Do you even want us to win? What's the case with you? You let me know whatever you're thinking down in the comment section. Of course, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you continue to get notified anytime we have any more content dropping on this channel. And of course, I appreciate you stopping by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.